I had a great meeting with the Browns. Andrew Berry, the GM, the head coach Tom Monk, and the receiver coach. We just talked ball. They got up there. We talked about, put my film on, see what all I can remember, who all position I know, what coverages I knew, and then we looked at a couple plays, what I could do better at. Why was it a lack of execution on this play? It don't mean a lot to stay in Ohio. Like Columbus is Ohio. It's an hour up the street, so yeah, it'll mean a lot to stay in Columbus, next to Columbus, and then I can go out there and see all my guys out there at Ohio State. And I know Ohio State fans love Cleveland Browns, so why not?
Yeah, I think we love it, but me personally, I feel like...
Once again, as I said before, we have more updates. Browns insiders are talking about Shadur Sanders as the obvious. Mary Kay just gave us insights as far as what the intent seemed to be like when she was out there at the NFL scouting combine. You guys know with this Cleveland media, you kind of have to wing in and out around the BS to get to the straight point. So I'm not going to play the video footage of her talking about Kyler Murray because I already know that's far-fetched. That's considered silly season.
Picture this. You're sitting in a room with your entire family. The cameras are on you. The whole world is watching. Every team in the NFL just passed on you. Round 1, gone. Round 2, gone. Round 3, gone. Round 4, the Browns took a different quarterback before you, and you're still sitting there, smiling, because you know something the rest of the world doesn't yet. That was Shadur Sanders on draft night 2025. And right now, in March 2026, the story is getting even more wild because a brand new NFL insider report just dropped. Carnell Tate is sending a direct message to Cleveland, and the Browns front office is making moves that could completely reshape this franchise. If you're a Browns fan, or if you just love NFL drama, you need to hear this. Hit that subscribe button right now, turn on notifications, and let's break this down.
And I know Ohio State fans love Cleveland Browns, so why not?
Yeah, I think we love it, but me personally, I feel like he'll just make me more locked in on a day-to-day basis, just seeing him, because he's the reason why I have this work ethic to this day, and just be able to look at him as a pro and see what he does on a day-to-day basis. I feel like it would increase my game even more than he already has.
Like coming up in the draft that you think are really good. You mentioned, Freeling's one of your top tackles. What about wide receiver?
I'm glad you asked that because I break down the receiver position by 4 different spots, because you can't rank Randy Moss next to Wes Welker. They play in 2 different positions, right? So my number 1 X or split in is Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. Just a peerless route runner, all of those good things. My number 1 Z or flanker, I'm still old school, call it a flanker. That would be Carnell Tate. I think Carnell Tate is this year's version of Devonta Smith. And the reason why I use that comparison is because he's a quiet number 1. Just how Smith is a quiet number 1 playing alongside a loud number 1 and A.J. Brown. Tate played alongside Jeremiah Smith, who's the big, loud number 1, but he quietly went about his business the way he does all season long. My number 1 slot is Mekhi Lemon, who can kind of bang inside, can play outside. Some people say Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's one of those confidence work because he's good with the ball in his hands. So my number 1 big inside receiver, I call it, it's kind of like the Marcus Colston type. That would be Denzel Boston. So those 4 are about top at their respective positions. Those are the guys I like, but even outside of that, Ted Hurst of Georgia State reminds me a lot of George Pickens, and so that could be good and bad. It depends on which quarter, which down, which series you're gonna get a touchdown, but you might get that 15-yard personal foul. You just hope it's not a crucial series. I also like Casey Concepcion. I loved him at NC State because he was just a move piece, and the Browns could use someone like that. Zachariah Branch, I think, is better than what people think because they forget what he was as a freshman at USC to where he was now. He's also going to help you on the return game. So there is a bunch of receivers because we're seeing more 3, 4, 5 wide receiver sets in college football. So there's a lot of time on task. So there's a lot of depth in this class.
You're definitely ahead of Gabriel now, Tony.
Yeah, I think so. I think the coach, the new staff, it's they look at who ended the season as the starter, and it was Shedeur. I've always said that I don't think Andrew Berry's his biggest advocate in there. But I do think the way the season ended, that he's going to be number 1, at least to start.
To get any kind of a sense.
Let's go back to April 2025, because context matters here. Shadur Sanders came out of Colorado as arguably the most talked about quarterback prospect in years. The kid threw for over 4,100 yards. His completion percentage of 74% led the entire FBS. He won Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award winner. He was Deion Sanders' son, but more importantly, he was a legitimate prospect. Mock drafts had him going anywhere from top 10 to mid-first round. Teams were buzzing. Then, the draft started. First round, Shedur's name is never called. Second round, silence. Third round, the Browns actually take Dillon Gabriel first, before Shedeur. Fourth round, still nothing. Fifth round, pick 144, the Cleveland trades up and finally selects Shadur Sanders. Pick 144. 144. An anonymous longtime NFL assistant coach had told NFL Network during the pre-draft process that Sanders takes unnecessary sacks, never plays on time, has horrible body language, blames teammates. Another AFC executive reportedly said he makes you feel small. And yet, Shadur sat there on draft night with his family, got prank called by the son of an Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator pretending to be a GM, and still handled it with class. Sports Illustrated called it handling the moment with maturity. That word choice matters, because what happened next proved every doubter wrong in the most Cleveland way possible. Here's where this story gets emotional. Shadur wasn't even supposed to play in 2025. The Browns had Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dillon Gabriel ahead of him. The plan was to sit him, develop him, bring him along slowly. That plan lasted about 10 weeks. Poor performances, 2 trades, and an injury later, Kevin Stefanski had no choice but to hand the keys to the kid from Colorado. And when that happened, Shadur Sanders delivered moments that nobody in Cleveland will forget. Against the Titans, he threw for 364 yards, 3 touchdowns, and nearly pulled off a miracle comeback in a 31-29 loss. Against the Bengals, a win. Against the Steelers, a team fighting for the playoffs, another win. He finished the season starting 7 games, going 3-4, with 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, and yes, 10 interceptions. The numbers weren't pretty. His passer rating of 68.1 was the worst in the league among qualified starters. Critics lined up to bury him. And then, on January 26, 2026, the NFL named Shadur Sanders to the Pro Bowl. He replaced Drake May, who couldn't attend because his Patriots were in the Super Bowl. But here's the thing, Shadur made the most of it. He threw 2 touchdown passes in the flag football game, connected with Nico Collins on a dime, and showed the league exactly what kind of arm talent he has when he's loose and confident. He became the first Cleveland Browns quarterback to make the Pro Bowl since Derek Anderson back in 2008. Let that sink in. 18 years, and a 5th-round pick broke that drought. When asked about it, Shadur simply said, "Thank you, God. I'm beyond excited. Still plenty of work to do." No bragging, no "I told you so," just hunger. That's the guy the Browns are betting on.
Mary Kay has been around this football team a lot longer than I have, so who am I to question some of her opinions as far as what the Browns are going to do? Now, the Browns did report that they are hosting wide receiver Carnell Tate on a visit. He's projected to be top 10 pick. They also stated that Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson is visiting with the Browns per Tom as well. Now, with the number 6 pick, me personally, I think they're going to go with Carnell Tate.
Now let's talk about the piece that could make or break Shedur's 2026, and honestly, the future of this entire Browns organization. Carnell Tate, Ohio State wide receiver, 6'3", 195 pounds. The most coveted wide receiver in the entire 2026 NFL draft class. This past season at Ohio State, Tate hauled in 51 catches for 875 yards and 9 touchdowns in just 11 games, an average of 17.2 yards per catch. PFF gave him an 89.0 receiving grade. Lance Zierlein of NFL.com compared his game to Chris Olave, the same Chris Olave who just had a second-team All-Pro season in 2025. He runs every route. He wins at all 3 levels. He has elite hands in contested situations. And at the NFL Combine, when someone asked him who the best wide receiver in this draft class is, without blinking, Tate said, "Me, no question. I bring it all to the table." That's the energy you want. Now here's where it gets really interesting for Browns fans. At the 2026 NFL Scouting Combine, Tate revealed that he had a great meeting with Browns GM Andrew Berry, new head coach Todd Monken, and their wide receivers coach. They watched film together, they tested his football IQ, they asked about specific route adjustments, and then Tate said something that broke Cleveland's Twitter in half. "It'll mean a lot to stay in Ohio. Columbus is an hour up the street. I could go see all my guys at Ohio State, and I know Ohio State fans love the Cleveland Browns, so why not?" That quote right there, that is a man who wants to be a Cleveland Brown. And just this week, NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero reported that the Browns officially hosted Tate for a top 30 visit in Berea. Because Tate is from Ohio State, it doesn't even count against their 30 visit limit. Cleveland is being smart about this. ESPN's Mel Kiper has Tate going to the Browns at pick number 6 in his latest mock draft. CBS Sports and SI's Daniel Flick agree. Multiple mock drafts are pointing to the same destination.
Mary Kay with us on the show. So at number 6, what do you think they're going to do?
Well, I do think that Andrew, if he can find a way to trade back, I think he would probably like to do that. I think he is 100% open to that. I've written that. And if he can pick up some extra assets in 2027, when there should be a more robust quarterback class coming out, I think he would like to be once again poised to be in those sweepstakes. So I do think that they will explore trades.
Here's the big picture, and this is where things get genuinely exciting. Cleveland enters the 2026 NFL Draft with 2 first-round picks, number 6 and number 24, plus 10 total selections overall after the Titus Howard trade. That is a franchise-changing amount of draft capital. GM Andrew Berry has already signaled heavy investment into the offense. Todd Monken, their new head coach who replaced the fired Kevin Stefanski, is an offensive mind. His entire reputation is built on creating explosive passing attacks. But here's the real question the Browns have to answer. Is Shadur Sanders their quarterback of the future? Or are they still looking? Because the reports show Cleveland has also met with Ty Simpson, Alabama's quarterback and one of the top QB prospects in the 2026 class. They've met with Jordan Tyson at receiver. They're doing their homework everywhere. The offensive line situation is critical too. Cleveland's O-line ranked 31st in the league in 2025. If you don't protect your quarterback, nothing else matters. Some analysts say both picks, 6 and 24, should go to offensive linemen. But here's analyst Garrett Bush's take, and it's hard to argue with. Carnell Tate at number 6 gives Todd Monken a legitimate weapon that can change the dynamic of this entire offense. Jerry Jeudy was their second leading receiver last year with just 602 yards. The wide receiver room combined for only 4 touchdowns all season. 4 in 17 games. Tate alone would more than double that production. And pairing him with Shadur Sanders, that's a young offensive duo that can grow together for the next decade. I want to take a second here and get real with you. The Shadur Sanders story isn't just an NFL story. It's a story about being told you're not good enough by the entire world and showing up anyway. It's about a kid who got prank called during the worst night of his career and still handled it with grace. It's about a franchise, Cleveland, that hasn't been to the playoffs since 2020, that keeps rebuilding, that keeps asking its fans to believe again. And now, in 2026, there's a real blueprint here. A young quarterback who's hungry, a potential wide receiver coming out of Ohio who actually wants to play there, 2 first-round picks, a new head coach who knows how to build offenses. This is the moment. This is the window. Cleveland fans have been waiting a long time for something to believe in. Shadur Sanders might not be perfect yet. Carnell Tate might go to the Giants at pick 5. Things might not work out exactly as planned. But for the first time in a long time, there's genuine hope in Northeast Ohio. And that, right there, is worth talking about. So here's where we stand right now. Shadur Sanders, Pro Bowl quarterback who still has everything to prove. Carnell Tate, the most coveted receiver in the draft who's been publicly flirting with Cleveland. The Browns, holding picks 6 and 24, meeting with top prospects and building something real under Todd Monken. The 2026 NFL Draft is happening in Pittsburgh on April 23rd, and the next few weeks are going to be insane. What do you think? Should the Browns take Carnell Tate at number 6, or do they have to fix that offensive line first? Drop your pick in the comments right now. I read every single one. If this video gave you something, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. Share this with your Browns fan friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a breakdown. We cover every trade, every draft pick, every insider report before anyone else. See you in the next one. Let's ride.